it will be in there. Okay, thank you very much, Gilly. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. I'm just spotlighting myself, hopefully for everybody as well. So hopefully you can all see me, Julia. I know you'll always keep me right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that
perfect.
you can see the screen and everything. So welcome everybody to this Lynx whiteboard session. Do feel free to type in any chats and things that you want to and into the chat area, or if you need to interrupt, just unmute yourself to ask any questions and things about it. So please do type them. Julie and Jim are on there and they are very capable of answering them, or they will interrupt and I can answer those there for you as well. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Gilly. I work for Clevertouch now for about 3 years. Before that, I was a primary school teacher for 13 years. So hopefully my skills and knowledge will be able to relate down to sort of this Lynx whiteboard and how I found to use it and things like that. So if you're not familiar with it, I know some of you are using it or have just sort of dabbled in it a little bit. I'm just going to show you a few quick little things of how it might be used and things like that, just so you are aware. So for example, a bit of immersive learning, little story of the Gruffalo. If I just go into that presentation mode, you can really bring sort of those books and things to life. So I can manipulate that character on the board there, move them forwards and backwards. I've got 2 sort of characters there I can move around. I can have that repetition of language and things like that. And then if I just whiz through those, as long as you don't mind chopping the Gruffalo up into little pieces, you can make a quick little jigsaw and things like that. So that's one way of using it for sort of that immersive learning with the storytelling. Some other ideas of how you can use it and why it might be great to use. I'll whiz through some great maths tools, a bit like the basic legacy whiteboard that you have on the boards that we've talked about in previous training. You can on here, so if I just stop presenting there for a moment, you can actually manipulate the size of your grid and your squares there, depending on what key stage you're teaching. You can pop in lines, handwriting lines and things like that. You can bring on things like your protractor and just make it larger, smaller. Use the little node, stamp your angles, move it away, and you've got that angle left there. You can still manipulate with it, or you can switch it and have the reflex angle showing. So loads of things that you can do there. You've also got things like, this was great for when I was teaching fractions, because I remember always trying to draw the circle and be like, remember you're doing it really carefully. But I can just really quickly split that shape, have that discussion. I can even change the colour there to have what's removed from that fraction there as well. So really quick and easy. Same again with squares and rectangles. You can split it really quickly, have a label diagram like this one here, or if I double click in it and type, I can have a jumbled sentence. And if I wanted to have a grammar focus, say that was my adjectives in yellow to fit in, you absolutely can do. So really quick and easy. I'm not expecting you to remember all of this. Susan, I can see you've asked the question about where I get the resources from. I'm more than happy to send any of these slides out to you. There's also a Lynx lesson library, and I will go through how you create this stuff as well in the training. So this is just to give you a little flavour of some of the things that you can do on it there as well. You can also have things like hide and reveal. So if I was doing languages, I could just tap on those to reveal those answers. Again, there with the maths, I can reveal the answer. Or if I want to have a bit of fun and have a bit of a catchphrase, I've got dice. I can put multiple dice on there, or just have that singular one with that random roll, and I can just have a bit of fun with a catchphrase. If you can tell what it is Mr. Chips from Catchphrase. Drop your answers in the chat, but I'm going to move on swiftly from there. Again, just like the Legacy whiteboard, you do have that infinite canvas, so it's great if you're doing any DT work. And oh, it's not hush money, but I like it. I'll see if any more answers come up. But it was something about money. Just think of where it was. But I can zoom in on images like this and it will calibrate, and then I can even just write and annotate on it, zoom back out, and those annotations will stay there. And I've got that in. Yes, well done, Linda. Put your money where your mouth is. I wish I had a prize to give you, but you've had a shout out, so well done. You can also layer lots of images up as well, so you can just peel those away, or you can then just peer into what's hidden below if you want to see where things are, or you can create a little cycle and go through. So whether it's like a life cycle, water cycle, loads of different options that you can do with that there as well. Again, you can have cloning. So I used to use this a lot for models and images when I was teaching maths. So whether it was like place value counters coming down, in this one, it's just a little cloning pin, maybe where we might want to go on holiday, things like that. You can just pull that little pin on and have those discussions there of where it goes and things like that. You've also got lots of external resources that I will link to. So I can link to, there's a whole bank of activities as well on the web-based side of Lynx, which we will talk about a little bit. You can link alternative websites up. So that will take me to the BBC Bite Size link. I can link it directly to my PowerPoint. So that would open up my PowerPoint, or even like PDFs. So if I click on that PDF, it shows me I've got 44 pages here. I'm not going to go through them all, but I can write and annotate over the top of those, and I can move forwards and backwards, and those annotations will stay, and then I can just come back out of it there as well. So there's so much that you can do with it. We've only got an hour, if that now, because I've been chatting for a little bit, to go through a lot of those things. So we might not get through everything today, but we will go through most of the things and at least give you a really good grounding, particularly if you want to go back and have a look at the video. You can have a good look and see how we do those tips and tricks. We also have a YouTube channel that has lots of little short snippet things of like how to do certain aspects on the board there as well. I'm going to send Julia a few different links when we finish this session as well, that she is also going to be able to share out with yourselves as well. So if I just go to this slide here, and we'll just move to this next page here. So we're going to hopefully cover these first 4 sessions in this first of our Lynx training sessions. There are some more advanced features and things there as well, but we won't have time. And to be honest, it's a bit of an overload if you're having to sit and listen to me for an hour to do those extra parts. It's like, oh, a long time. So thinking about why you choose Lynx. It is a cross-platform app. Julia said at the beginning that you can, if you've not got Lynx downloaded on your devices, you can go to your software center and download it there. You can also use it directly onto the board there as well. If you want it on your own personal device for any reason, you absolutely can do. And I'll show you and tell you quickly how you can do that also. So it's great for the teachers, it's great for students. You can also link your cloud accounts, so whether it's a Google or Microsoft drives that you want to link up there, you can link up to those. You can open a range of media. For example, you can open up your Smart Notebook files. You can open up your Active Inspire files. You can open up PowerPoint, Word, PDFs. Now, if you're opening up a PowerPoint, you do lose your transitions. So if you're somebody who likes a transition, you would lose those. So I would just say keep your PowerPoint, and you might dip in and out of Lynx if you want to, but it will bring through all your slides individually as like a flat image from PowerPoint there as well. And then you can create fun presentations. So you can drop and embed videos on here. You can drop your images in. And then zoom in on those nice and clear. You've got your PDFs, which we looked at briefly there before. You've got that hide and reveal with your images, pictures, GIFs, whatever it is you want to pop on. You've got that little cycle that we'll go through, and then you can link to other slides as well. So if I click on this one, you can just see that Scar doesn't move. My hyena is on a little replicate, a little clone. My characters, I can manipulate those around as well. So those are just some of the things that we can do. So let's think about how we get started with it. So if you do want to download it to your personal devices, it is available through all your usual Play stores. You can go directly to the lynxcloud.app and download it directly from there. Or if you're downloading it onto your work device, it is that software center that you need to go into. So just a little search bar at the bottom of your laptop or your device, just type in software center and you'll be able to see Lynx whiteboard. And it's this little character here. The latest version is 8.4.11 as well, with that there as well. So when you start and open up the app, when it's been downloaded, you'll have open. It's changed a little bit since do we use a corporate or Glow email, or does it not matter? It's personal preference. If you want to use your works email and you've got it fits like a Microsoft or Google account, it will link those drives for you as well. So it's personal preference. I don't know, Julia, if you want to jump in on that one, if you've got specific policy in place of how you want it to go.
No, I think it would be up to you. Maybe better using a Glow email because that's where all your learning and teaching bits and pieces should be. Would you agree,
Exactly.
Jim? Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Otherwise, you've got a double job.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So hopefully that clarified a few things there for you. So when I open up and use Lynx, the app, for the very first time, my page will look like this. You won't have all this content just here because this is stuff that I have previously opened. You'll have new, you'll have files, you'll have the AI builder. I'm not going to touch on the AI stuff at all today. You only get the AI part with a little subscription part. So everything else that I'm going to show you today is absolutely free and will remain to be free with Lynx Whiteboard. It's just the AI content that has a little subscription on it, but I won't go into that. You've got a little hamburger menu down here at the bottom that gives you some options. And then down at the bottom here is where you can sign in. So if you're using Lynx for the first time, I would go into the sign in and it will take you out to our Lynx website. So I'll just switch over because I am currently signed in at the moment. So let me just come out of the full screen and I'll go into that lynxcloud.app. So it'll take you to this browser side. Now this is where you can create and add your account. So you can create an account absolutely free, and that's where you would then create your account with your work email, and then it will link to your drives there as well. I'm not going to talk much about the web side of it, the browser side. This is where you can access your drives and things. There's lots of activities on there as well, and that again are all free. And if we've got time at the end, we'll come and have a little look at those. But that's where it will take me to sign in and register for my account. And then when I want to be creating all that content or accessing it, I want to come down to the online app within the device here as well. So just really quickly, this is my toolbar down at the bottom. I'll just go full screen so you don't get my other toolbar from my computer. The toolbar looks like this. So just as a quick basic overview, we have a little hamburger menu here. So that gives us various options to help us save, to make sure we're signed in, to check for accounts and things. I've got my little numbers here so I can navigate forwards and backwards through my account. And if I tap on those numbers, it will open up all my thumbnails of all the slides that I've got open. Next to that, I've got a little thumbnail overview. So again, that gives me like page options, allows me to have a certain page layout if I wanted to. It will allow me to have an infinite canvas if I want to, and go in and out of the background there as well. So lots of different features in that one. Then in the middle, we have our main kind of creation and creative area. So we've got the little finger pointer, which is a select tool. So everything that we put on the screen, if you're on the finger pointer, click on it and you'll be able to move and manipulate it. We've got the pens. When you click on the pens, it'll open up a little pen pot, and we'll go through that again in a little bit. You've got text, which is just like your general text. You've got these editing tools, and you've got a content builder area there as well. And then you just have undo, redo in case you make any mistakes. And you've got that delete box there as well. So I'm just going to go to my dashboard and show you what that's like from a very new slide. So if I click on new, I start with a blank canvas. I've only got one page there. Click on the numbers. I can add additional pages there. I can close that. I can go into my little thumbnails here. So if I know how I want my presentation to be looking, I can click on that page layout, and it gives me some options whether I want it to be a title page, a section, a header. I can have it text. I can have it where it's set up. I've got title, text and image. So if I click on the title, I could just quickly type in there. In the text, I can just quickly enter some text in there, and then even on that image, it will allow me to open an image of somewhere I've got saved on my device there as well. So if I've got those ideas that I want to have, I can set it as that, or I can just simply not have a background at all on it and just have it selected as none. The other thing in here, if I just go to that first page, if I click on those thumbnails and I just want some a grid or some lines, if I go into that edit background as a quick start, over here I've got a little grid at that bottom. So if I click on there, I can very quickly add some grids onto there. I can change the size of those by using that little slider, and then I can click exit background, and that's those locked into place on the background there as well. So that's just a real quick start of how I can use some of those features and tools. So we're going to have a bit of a deeper dive into these tools and the navigation around here as well. So we'll start with the hamburger over here on the left hand side, and I've got that little hamburger menu. In there I've got options, which is where I can see about my device. I can see I'm logged in. I can check for updates if I need to. I've got various things. I've got some font screens and content. We'll talk about those after. If I click back, it brings me here again. I've got help. So Lynx Whiteboard is a product that's developed by ourselves at Clevertouch. So if there's any issues that you need to report, you can report those issues in there, and that will feed directly back to the team. You can have a split screen. So if you wanted to have two Lynx Whiteboard presentations open at the same time, maybe one is your presentation, one is just a normal whiteboard to be writing on, you can do. You can save your presentations here either as a Lynx file or as a PDF. You've also got sharing. So if you've made a resource and you want to save it and share it, you can pop up a QR code, and your students, or if it's in a staff meeting or something, they can scan that and take that presentation away with them. And then we've got the presenting. This is where you can make your slides really interactive once you have set those slides there as well. And then the dashboard, it takes you home to that initial home page where you can add another file or open an existing file there as well. So getting started, my basic slide here. So I've got those navigating pages. I've got those when I click on the little thumbnails, I get those page options, the infinite canvas. You can toggle that on if you want to. You can zoom in. You've got the pages there as well that will open up those thumbnails. On each of those thumbnails, and I'll just open mine here, you get the number of the page, you get a little hamburger menu, those 3 lines at the top, a little chain link and a little arrow. Now the little arrow will reorder your slides so you can move them up and down. The thumbnails, the little hamburger menu, will allow you to choose a different coloured background and things like that for it. And the little chain link will allow you to link pages together. And we'll look at that again a little bit later on as well. So let's have a quick little look into our pens, this middle part of our board. So we've got the select. When I click on the pen, it's like it opens a little pencil case. You'll notice when I click on it, I get some different options here for my pens. So if I click on one and I click on the little pen, I can have options here. So I could just have the ink. I can change the size of it. So if I was to write, I can just write on it there as well. So we've got a few different options. One that's really nice, the rainbow pen, particularly if you are working on handwriting and things like that. So if I was lower down school and trying to teach my students to keep their hand and their finger on the page, hopefully you can see that as they've taken their finger off, the pen changes colour. Whereas if I can join and be a bit more with my cursive writing, hopefully you'll notice that some letters I can join, some I can't. It changes colour. If I can join them all, that writing will stay one colour. For me, it's really dull and boring. I'm like, but I like the rainbow pen. I like the different colours. So for those students, I would then click on the rainbow pen, the animated one, and if I can join up, the whole word will then cycle through a series of colours. Or it might just be that you just want to make your writing look pretty and make things stand out there as well. So lots of different options there for that as well. You do have a little rubber on there that you can just rub out that content as well. So you can just rub that out like so as well. You'll notice when I put my rubber over here, it doesn't rub out because I've dropped things into the background layer, but I will show you again how to do that in a little bit. Some of the other pens that might be of interest to you, we've got the line tool. We do have handwriting recognition and maths calculation, but they come as part of the AI subscription because they use AI software to use. So I'm not going to go into those. With the line, if I do a nice thick line just across like that, again, if I go to that finger pointer, my little select tool, I can move the line around using the little floating toolbar. But if I click on this center icon, it allows me to change the line type. So for example, if I wanted to make a quick grid, I can click on that and I can add points. So hopefully you'll see those are adding, and then I can just really quickly manipulate a nice little line graph there. If I wanted to mix between the line graph and have more of a frequency graph, I can just click on, I want it to be a curved line, and you can just swap between them. You can even continue to add points or remove points there as well, just from that floating toolbar within. So it's really nice, quick and easy to use those pens there as well. So I'm just going to come out of that pencil case from our tools with this little arrow here, and you'll notice it just takes me back to that menu there. Text, if I click on the text and tap on the board, it's just like any other text that you would do. So white's not the best one to show in here. It's come up white because it's one of my default ones, but I can go in and just change that text there to another colour. Now you can have default fonts on here. So if I click the T twice, you can see that first one that I've chosen was white Arial, then I've got Comic Sans, and then I've got one called Tintin. If you want to preset any text and it's something that you just kind of do the housekeeping sort of once, click on the little cog next to it, and you've got these 3 preset tools that you can have there. So I've got Comic Sans set as my second one. I can choose the size, the colour, if I want it bold, underline, italics. It will pick up, depending on what software whether you're using your laptop or whether you're using it directly on the board, it will pick up all the fonts. So from that device, so whether you're on the board, it will pick up those fonts as your defaults, or if you're on your laptop or a desktop machine, it will pick up those fonts that you can choose and have those set. And then I just click back and it brings me back here. There's nothing really within the text other than you can type and write. You can change the colour, you can put a background colour on it if you want to. The little A up and down gives you options to centre, justify it, bold, italic, change the font there as well if you want to. Don't worry about those N3 icons for the moment. We will look at those in a little bit also. So we're going to look at our editing tools next, the little paint pot on our toolbar. So I've just put some content on here, and again, we will go through how you can drop some content and things on here in a little bit. So if I click on the paint pot, a little bit like the pencil pot, these icons will change. You always have the finger pointer because that will always be there to allow you to select things. If I click on the little paint pot itself, it will give me a little colour wheel, a picker. So if I have a specific colour I want to select, I can use that. Or I can just use this grid block of colours here. So for example, if I wanted to change that magnifying glass to that blue, I can click on that magnifying glass and do that. The little hashtag, the one at the end with the little lines, will allow me to then click in there and put that as a little transparency. Let me just go back into that one. So transparency, so you can see I've now created, oh, I've stayed on it there. I've now made this little transparency window that I could manipulate and move around there to search for items. So you can do things like that. Again, within that paint pot, you've got, I'm just going to move that out of the way. You've got this next icon, which is a block highlighter. So if I click on it, and I can just highlight a piece of text there. My computer is just running a little bit slow. So if I then went on there, if I wasn't happy with the transparency, I can use the little eye just to make it a little more transparent. It's great if you want to just highlight a particular focus, or you might say, right, you're going to be working, you can change the colour as well there. So it might be, let's look at this green paragraph together, or you can send around to different students and go, right, I want you to look at that one, you look at this paragraph, and you look at that paragraph. It's also great for students who have Erlings or need an overlay. You can put in, if you know their specific hex colour that they use, you can pop that in there and have it as a nice big overlay, so it's easier and accessible for your students to read. So that's there for you as well. And then one of probably my favourite tools, this little crop icon at the end of those. So you've got a little grab rectangle, so it's just like it will copy a little bit of whatever you highlight. So I'm just going to highlight that bit and it will make a copy there. You've also got a grab freehand. So in this case, you can draw around an item and it will just copy what you've drawn around there. You also have the knife. So if you think back to, if you can remember the Gruffalo that I did previously, I used the knife and if I just squiggle up and down, there we go. I can then cut those pieces up, so I can cut things off or remove parts, and that's quite straightforward to do. The other one you've got here is the split shape. So you can split a shape, either circle, squares or rectangles. So if I click split shape, hold the mouse down, or if I'm on the board, I can just hold my finger down and move my finger around. And then when I let go, that will split that shape there for me. Each one of those sectors then has its own little floating toolbar. So if you did want to click on it and use the paint pot to change the colour, you absolutely can do. Again, with those squares or those rectangles, click on split shape, drag down for your horizontal lines and across for your vertical lines. And then you've got that there. So label diagrams, jumbled sentences, double click in it, and you can type away into it there. So if you want to have that jumbled sentence or labels and things like that, you can do. Again, the little paint pot there, you can change the colour of that if you want to have a particular grammar focus or anything there with it. The next little icon, again, I come back out of here and I go to those main ones there. I have this plus icon, so that's what it looks like. I've just made it a little bigger here. So this is where you can paste, you can browse and insert files from. So if you want to bring a link in from another device, you can do. So you can drop in a file there. You can also link pages here as well. So if you want to link a certain page, you can click there. You can insert a table. So just like you would probably familiar with Word or PowerPoint, where you can just highlight the rows and numbers and drop that in. You've got access to your shapes here. So this is where you can get your circle and your squares or rectangles just to drop onto the page if you're wanting to split. But we're going to have a little look at this content area here. You do also have an AI assist, but again, I'm not going to be talking about that aspect in this video this time. So the content, when I click on it, it brings up this here. So I've got things like access to Microsoft Bing, I've got Pixabay, I've got Giphies, I've got YouTubes and various things like that. So when I click on that plus, go to the content, you'll see I've got that same icons there. Now what I can do, I do have a browse in the middle, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. And there is an AI feature there again as well, but we won't go into that today. So I'm just going to click on my Bing, and I can put in my search. So I can either do it on the board or at my device. I'm just going to put in a quick search for dogs. And I'll click search, and what that does, it's searching my Bing for lots of different video or pictures of dogs. I can then just click on one and drag it out onto my
So how
screen.
did you get the pictures?
Oh, so I typed in here at the top, I just typed in dogs in that search area on Bing. I typed in dogs, and it just brings up lots of different images there for me. I can change it as well. So if I just click on that little icon there, I could go into clip art if I wanted a bit of a clip art image. So this time I might pull that one on. So I've got that little image, and I can even bring in a bit of a Giphy. And let's go with that one there. So I've got a little GIF on there. And what I can even do, which is great, I'll just close that one off there. I can go to YouTube, and I can bring a YouTube image in directly as well. Now what this will do, I'll just drop that on there, and I'll close that, make it a little bit smaller. Hopefully I've not chosen a massive file. With YouTube, it cuts off the very beginning, sort of like your adverts. Normally it's Grammarly, and it will play directly straight away. But what you can also do, I'm just going to turn the volume down on that one. What you can also do with that, as it's playing, so I'll put it on play, this middle icon here, I can take little snapshots of what it is that I am playing. So if I just tap on that at different parts of that video, I'll do one more. That one there, pause that video. I've got those screenshots of that video that I was playing. So it's really quick and easy if you want to do a bit of a story map or sequence a story, things like that there as well. So that's how easy it is just to bring content on. To access that, you do need to be signed in. So if you just go into Lynx Whiteboard, you wouldn't have access to those. You'd need to make sure you've got your account and you're signed in. But those are all absolutely free for you to use there as well. Now, the next part that we're going to look at, again, it's in that plus icon, it's in the content, but instead of being in the media section where you have to be signed in, I'm going to go to that middle icon, which is our browse. Now, you don't have to be signed in for this, it is all there for you. If you do sign in, however, you can link additional resources. And again, it's something that we can send out to you, some of these extra resources that I've got on here. If you want them, more than happy to share. But here again, you've got things like your different backgrounds. You do in here have your handwriting paper. So down at the bottom, I can drag and drop that handwriting paper on. If I click on the pen, we used to have the solid line as being red, so I can change that, and then the dotted line, just this little highlighter one, was blue. I'll make it look really strong and horrible, so you'll be able to see it, and I won't like it on my board. But if I can change the size of it there, and then I can change the thickness of it there, so you'll be able to see really clearly that I've got those big solid lines there as well. I'm just going to hit the bin and get rid of that as well. But you've got various papers and things there as well. You've also got in here, you've got your different backgrounds, and you've got different things like your protractor that you can just drag and drop on, that you can manipulate and move around on the screen there. Use those nodes to stamp the angle and move it away. You've got clocks that you can be using for time, compasses, there's various things in there. What you also have in here, some additional shapes, but we've also, this is a folder that we've created. So there's quite a few sort of ex-teachers that work for Clevertouch, and these are sort of resources that we found that we would like to be on there. So this is an additional content that we can send out to you. But in here, there's things like, if I go into maths, there's things like different money. So I can just bring out like my £5 note. I can put these on clones and replicate and things like that. I've got things like my bar models. I've got things like my base 10 or my Deans that I can bring out there as well and be using all of those resources. So they are all available. So I will send you to you yourself, Julia, and if you want to send them out, that's perfect. Or if you want to contact me directly, not a problem at all. So there's loads of different resources there in your content area that are available to you. The next thing we're going to do, I'll skip that one for the moment, is have a little look at our floating toolbars. Now, I've mentioned them a few times. Everything that we put onto the screen will have a floating toolbar. So, for example, if I was to write with the pen, I get this sort of floating toolbar. So I can change the colour of the pen. I can even change the thickness of the pen while I'm there, just using that slide. I'll talk about these end icons in a little bit. My text box, again, we had a little look at those text boxes there previously. You've got your features of how to change the font and the text. With the finger pointer, I can drop that into the background. Sometimes you want to be creating content that goes directly into the background that if you rub out, it's not going to remove. So for that, there's this little stacker menu here. And if I click on that stacker menu, which is next to those three lines, if I'm working on a laptop or my mouse, if I think my mouse is going to sit, there we go. If I hover over this bottom left icon, it says move to background. This icon on the right is move to the normal layer. So the normal layer is where I'd be working and be able to have access to all the time. But if I want to move it to the background layer, you'll notice everything else that's not in the background has faded out. I've got those options down here at the bottom if I want to put in an additional background of lines or dots or squares and things like that. I can still move this around. This is also in the background layer, so I can move that. My title was in the background layer. These things here aren't in the background layer, so Simba, I can't do anything with. But once I'm finished, I can click exit background, and now those are fixed there that I can't remove or do anything with. If I needed to go back into it, little thumbnails at the bottom, edit the background, and I can go back into it there as well. Pictures, any image that you drop in, you can then have a little view around. So there's a couple of things on here. So upscale image to improve it, that again is a pro, but I can do a 360 mode. So if I want to do a bit of immersive learning, I could be like, oh, let's have a look around here, have a little look and see what you like. Or you can just go back in and remove that back to your flat image. You can put that on anything. So for example, I could even do it on Simba. He doesn't look great on all images. It's great on like a panoramic one, but you can see that I can kind of zoom around on him there as well if I wanted to. So any image that I drop on, I have that available to me. Even things like your protractor, again, you get that floating toolbar, little crosshairs to move it around. If I wanted to make it into a full 360, I absolutely can do just by clicking on the full 360 one. Or if I want it just back at the 180, I can. Same with the clock, I can change it, the time, I can change it to be a stopwatch, a clock, I can have hands on for minutes, seconds and things. I can even have a count up clock and things there. So lots of things to do with that one as well. If you're dropping images on, quite often you'll find things that you pull in, you end up with that white background. So I can remove the background on here. So if I just click on that image, click on the little, it looks like a little mountain with the sun just there, that middle icon, and I can click remove background. So now if I move that over here, you'll see that white background has gone. I can still see a little bit of white here in between his arm and his stick. Sometimes that might bother me. So I can go into my paint pot and go into the little paint pot here and select transparency, that end icon that has it's white with the little faint lines on it. And then if I click there, hopefully you'll see that that has now been removed. So that area of white has gone there from him. If you put him on the red, you'll be able to see that you see the red through him. So that's just a quick way that you can change those backgrounds as well. You can also layer images up a bit like with the human body that we did earlier when I was just showing. So Simba's going to go to a masquerade ball, but his mask currently goes behind him and so does his cape. So for those, if I click on it, again, floating toolbar, the little stacker menu next to the three dots, if I click on that, and then in the stacking, this little icon here, I want to bring it all the way to the front. So if I click on that one, his mask will now fit on top of him. And then I'll do the same with the cape. So it's that little stacker, bring that to the front, and then I can pop his cape on him. And then what I can do, as long as I've got that finger pointer still selected, I can just drag over the top of those icons. You can see those three things selected, and I can just group those icons together. So now I can enlarge, I can make it smaller just with pinch and zoom with my fingers and move that character around. If I want to ungroup it again, I can just click on those two little squares overlapping. You can see I've got those three things, and I can just ungroup it nice and easily like that as well. So I know I'm giving you loads at the moment. We're going to have a look at how we get things ready for our presentation piece as well. So this is getting you ready before you go into that presentation. So if you're wanting to clone things, you're wanting to create those cycles, you want things to replicate or to link, this is what we're going to be looking at now as well. So I've got some content on here ready. So for this image here of the Lion King, we're going to have a cover. So again, I make sure I've got that finger pointer selected. It's got a little blue line underneath it. If you've tapped it again, that blue line will go. And if you're like, oh, why can't I select things? Just make sure it's got the little blue line underneath it. So I get that floating toolbar with it. In this case, I want to cover. So I'm going to go to these three little dots and I'm going to click on cover. Now it automatically defaults to a grey background. If I want to change that colour, I can go to those three little dots and I'm going to say I'm going to put a red cover on it there. If I want to, a little bit like, I think it was Susan that might have got, or it might have been Linda, that got my catchphrase, put your money where your mouth is. If I want to have it tiled with numbers, I can click on this cog just here. I can add rows, I can add columns. I put quite a few on there. I'll just remove a few. And then I can put the toggle to show those numbers on there as well. So I'm not going to do anything else with that at the moment. I will just leave that how it is. The cycle, so where we had, I think it was tadpoles and a frog, that life cycle just revolving around those images. You can cycle with anything. So whether I wanted to write a piece of text, whether it was like flashcards and things I wanted to do, anything that I put on here, I can cycle with. All I need to do, again, making sure I'm on that select finger pointer. I'm just going to group these 4 images together. I'm just going to drag over what I want to cycle through. And again, I'm going to click on the 3 little dots and I'm just going to click on cycle. You'll notice it's just gone to one lion there now as well. And I'll show you what happens with that. With Simba, we're going to make him editable when it's in presentation. So if I click on Simba, click on the 3 dots, and this time I want him to be editable while presenting. You'll notice that it highlights blue to show what we've got. The hyena I want to replicate. So again, those 3 dots, I'm going to put that replicator on. So that's our cloning tool, and then click off. Zazu, I'm going to send him into the background to see what happens when we are in that presentation mode. So this time, instead of the 3 dots, it's that stacker menu. And I click that bottom left icon. I'm in the background. I can see things have all faded out. So I need to remember I can leave that background. Rafiki, I'm not going to give him an action. He's currently just there as an image. So I'm just going to leave him. Timon, I'm going to give a sound. So this is great if you're, maybe if you're doing languages and things like that, that you want to have a sound recorded or anything like that. Or if you're teaching phonics and you want to have a sound button, great resource for that. So I'm going to 3 little dots. I'm going to click on link this time. And I'm going to select a file. Now on my desktop, I do have some sound files. I'll just click on sound and we'll go with Hakuna Matata. So I'll just select that. So it's just a little MP4 sound. I'll click OK. While I'm here, I'll remember to turn that up. So when we're playing it, hopefully you'll hear the sound. And then Pumbaa, by no means least, I'm going to link to another page. So if I click on link, and select a page. Let's see, it gives me all the different pages. We'll go to that next page there and click OK. So I've set everything up ready from presentation now. So when I want to go into presentation mode, I go back to our hamburger menu down here at the bottom and I go to start presenting. So now that I've started, some things don't do anything, so that's not doing anything. I've got my cover, so now when I tap on those numbered tiles, I can reveal that image, so I could go through them all, or if I tap on it again, it will cover it back up. I've got my cycle. So when I tap on that, it will just cycle through those 4 images that I put on. I've got Simba down here who we made editable. So just using pinch and zoom, I can move him across on the board nicely there and manipulate him. The hyena was on replicate. So when I pull the hyenas out, it's on replicate. So I can have multiple hyenas. Zazu, I sent to the background. So when I tap on him, nothing happens. And just to show you a little example as well, if I click on that eraser and I went over my hyenas, some of my hyenas are removed. Same with my Simba, because he's in that foreground area. But if I don't want it to be removed, so you can see when I go over Zazu, nothing happens with that eraser. Because he's in the background. So I'll go back to that select tool. Rafiki, we didn't give an action to, we just left. So when I click on Rafiki, any image that I drop on, it will just bring it up full screen. And then I can just zoom back out of that one. My sound is Hakuna Matata. So I'm not sure if you can hear it playing. It's singing Hakuna Matata currently. It's not that loud, I didn't turn it up that much. But trust me, it is playing. And then Pumbaa we had as a link. So when I click on Pumbaa, it then takes me to that next slide. And then one final thing I'm going to leave you with before we've got a little bit of time for some questions. If you have them, I know I'm throwing loads at you, but the good thing is it is recorded. Just in that thumbnail, so if I just stop presenting, it will ask me if I want to keep those changes that I made while presenting. So those things that are cloned or rubbed out, I can either say yes or no. So if I say no, it will just revert back to the normal file. People always ask about a curtain or a spotlight. Absolutely. Thumbnails at the bottom here. Go into your page options and I can toggle on a curtain. So I can just reveal part of it. I can also click on the 3 little dots on that curtain and I can change where I want it to be, or I can change the colour of that curtain there as well. I can click done, and when I'm finished I can just close that off. As well as that, you've also got in those page options, you've got the ability to turn on a spotlight. So I can change the size of that diameter, move around the screen there with it, and when I'm finished I can turn that off there as well. So in a nutshell, that's kind of our getting started part of our Lynx whiteboard. I'm hoping you have all really enjoyed it, and do we have any questions?
I think we answered them, but maybe someone can put their mic on if they want to ask them. Sorry, Julia.
Oh,
No, that's fine.
perfect.
No, thank you very much.
Julia was very fast on the typing. She was beat me to them every time.
Amazing. Thank you, Julia. I
I'm
know
on
it's always
fire
like trying to
today.
keep an eye on the chat and doing the board as well. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
So yeah,
super
thank you. I really
difficult.
appreciate that.
Paula says that she's subscribed and she's looking forward to exploring Lynx. Yeah, thank you to those who have
Thank you.
subscribed to our updates. And she needs a bit more time, but lots of info to review. Yeah, you do. You need to explore it and have a play with it. Yeah, Judith is having a play with it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so is Susan. And I think that's really helpful that we've recorded the session too. So we'll send that link out to you once we pop it up onto YouTube. And then you can go through it in your own time. You can pause it, play around, and find out how to get out the most out of your board. So yeah, fantastic session. Thanks very much, Gilly.
Oh, no, you're very welcome. I'll stop the recording so
Yep.
then you don't get our normal chit chat at the end. So I'll stop the recording, but that will all be available to you. Julia, I will also send you through all that information. If you want all that extra content and things